You think you're fighting something out there, don't you? You walk into the world with clenched fists and sharpened words, looking for the next enemy to justify your rage, the next narcissist to blame for your pain, the next coward to project your shame onto. But here's what most will never admit, even to themselves. The demon you fear isn't out there. It never was. It lives in your silence. It waits in your shame. It wears your face when no one's watching. You think you're the good guy. Of course you do. They all do. So did the men who became tyrants. So did the lovers who turned cruel. So did the fathers who raised boys into broken men. But what if I told you what you call righteous anger is just your shadow learning how to walk? You think it's justice. It's just your demon whispering, "Let me out. I'll protect you. I'll make sure they never hurt you again." And you let it. You always do. You think you're resisting the dark, but in hating it, obsessing over it, you're giving it shape, form, and eventually, permission. You don't fight the darkness by swinging at ghosts. You fight it by turning the lantern inward, because here's the part you won't want to hear. You will become the very thing you never forgave. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but the longer you run from the thing inside you, the more it sharpens its teeth, and when it comes out, it won't ask for permission. It'll already know your name. Let me tell you a secret most men never admit, not even to themselves. You don't fight what you hate, you swallow it. You see a coward and swear you'll never be one. You see a liar and promise yourself you'll always tell the truth. You see your father's weakness, or your brother's pride, or the woman who manipulated you, and something inside you burns. You feel superior, righteous. You'd never be like them, but the mind doesn't work that way. The subconscious doesn't understand, "I hate this." It only understands repetition, emotion, attention. And every time you glare at that trait, every time you obsess over it, you feed it, you shape your identity around it. Let me put it another way. What you resist persists. Carl Jung. You hate the manipulator, but then you start controlling how others see you. You hate arrogance. Then you quietly craft an identity of being better than those arrogant fools. You despise neediness. Then you become cold, distant, unreachable. Not because it's strength, but because you're still defined by that hate. That's the trick. You're not free from what you hate. You're just its echo, dressed in opposite clothes. And here's the part that gets every man. The more you hate it, the more you think about it. And the more you think about it, the more it becomes you. It doesn't matter that you don't want it. What matters is where your attention lives. And if your mind is a house, hate is still a tenant. So no, you're not escaping your demons. You're memorizing them. You're rehearsing their lines, their tone, their movements. Until one day, without warning, you speak their words and don't even realize it. Hate something long enough, and it becomes part of your spine. We don't realize how rituals form. Not the kind you do with candles and chants. I'm talking about the quiet kind, mental rituals, the ones done in silence at night in your own head. You replay that thing you hate, that person who wronged you, that trait that disgusts you. You chew on it again and again and again. You say, "I'd never be like him. I'd never do what she did. That's not who I am." But you keep thinking about it. You obsess over it. You plan how you'd destroy it if it ever came close again. And what do you think happens to the mind that marinates in hate every day? It absorbs the flavor. You are what you feed your nervous system. Every time you dwell on what disgusts you, you etch it deeper into your neural pathways, like water cutting through rock. Slow, but irreversible. You're not just reacting anymore. You're practicing the very behavior you swore you'd never become. Repetition is possession, not by some devil outside of you, by the very pattern you swore you hated. You don't notice it at first. You snap once, and you call it justified. You manipulate once and say it was self-defense. You betray someone and call it strategy. The more you repeat it, the more it becomes you. What you once condemned, you now begin to understand. And in understanding it, you give it permission to stay. That's how possession works. Not in some Hollywood horror scene, but in everyday choices, in subtle shifts, in slow corrosion. You don't become the demon in one day. You become it by repetition. Funny thing about demons, the more you name them, the more they start answering to your voice. You begin by hating a trait. Maybe it's arrogance. Maybe it's manipulation. Maybe it's neediness, greed, cowardice, rage. You point your finger at it in others, scoff at it, make promises. I'll never be like that. But hatred is a form of obsession, and obsession is worship in disguise, because the mind doesn't know the difference between love and hate. It only knows what you feed it. And slowly, quietly, you start picking up the tools of the demon. Not to become him, of course. No, just to protect yourself, just to survive. The man who hated control becomes a master of silent manipulation. The man who hated cowards becomes addicted to dominance. The man who hated liars starts lying to protect his image. And here's the trick. You don't notice the transformation because the ego dresses it in new clothes. You tell yourself, I'm not like them. I'm just smarter now. I'm not being cruel. I'm being strong. I'm not becoming like him. I'm doing what he would never do. But listen close. When the mask you wear starts fitting better than your own face, you're not acting anymore. You've identified with the very thing you once swore to destroy, and no one can talk you out of it because you've built a throne out of your trauma and crowned yourself with the horns you once feared. You demonized something, and then, slowly, you became it. Not because you wanted to, but because you never faced it, because you hated it so much you handed it the keys to your subconscious and let it grow in the dark. They never notice the horns. Not at first. They sprout quietly, not in rage, not in violence, but in moments of justification. You lie to protect yourself. You manipulate just this once because they deserved it. You betray your own code, but call it adapting. You hurt someone and convince yourself it was for the greater good. That's how the demon works. He doesn't scream his way into your skin. He whispers you into becoming him. And the most dangerous part? You think you're still the good guy. You think you're better than the ones you hate because your reasons are noble. But your behavior, it's the same. Just wearing a cleaner shirt. You've absorbed the traits of your enemy, but renamed them survival. You've copied the monster, but convinced yourself it's strength. That's the curse. The demon isn't dramatic. He's subtle. He'll let you keep your pride, your righteousness, your self-image, so long as you never notice the smell of sulfur on your own breath. You didn't just inherit the devil's horns. You polished them. You made them part of your style. And now, you're wondering why everything around you is burning. If this part hit you somewhere deep, that's not by accident. It means the shadow's already knocking. This spiral isn't finished. There's more to uncover in the next part. So if you haven't already, subscribe. Because the next descent, it gets darker. You still think you're the noble one, the honest man, the disciplined soul trying to make it through a broken world. But now you're snapping at people. Now you're manipulating situations. Now you're hiding things from them and from yourself. You tell yourself it's strategy, boundaries, strength, but it's fear, it's control, it's the demon speaking in your voice now. You hated your father's anger. Now you raise your voice at people just to feel tall. You resented liars. Now you bend the truth to survive. You despised the narcissist who ignored you. Now you're obsessed with how they see you. You hated the devil so much, you started wearing his shoes. Because here's the tragic joke. No man knows he's changing while he's winning. He just thinks he's smarter now, sharper, that his dark side is finally paying off. He calls it alpha, or evolved. But it's just his shadow, bloated smiling and in control, and no one stops him because by then, the demon has polished your surface. Made you charming, logical, maybe even powerful, but underneath, you've grown horns, and you're the last one to see them. You look in the mirror one day, and it's not that your face has changed. It's that your eyes look hollow, dead. You don't even remember the man you tried so hard to be. All you know is the demon. He doesn't whisper anymore. He's comfortable now, and he's speaking for you. There comes a silence no music can fill, a stillness that wraps around your soul like a noose. A man walks past a mirror, and for the first time in his life, he actually looks. Not fixes his hair, not adjusts his shirt, but looks. He doesn't see a man anymore. Not really. He sees the residue of one, a shell walking in armor made of resentment, fear, and rage. His eyes aren't alive. They're hunting. His face is no longer expressive. It's sculpted in defense. And beneath the skin, he sees the thing he once swore he'd never become. The liar, the manipulator, the emotional tyrant, the demon. He hated that thing, mocked it, fought it, swore he was nothing like it. But now, it stares back at him, calm, confident, home. And the cruelest part? He didn't even notice the transformation. There was no grand moment when he crossed over. No line he knew he stepped past. It happened in inches. Quiet compromises, small betrayals, soft lies told with noble justifications, each one shaving down the man he was and feeding the creature underneath. You don't grow horns overnight. First, you just get good at silence. This is the mirror phase, the point where isolation strips away the noise, and you're left to confront what you've become when no one's watching. And for many men, this is the most dangerous moment of their life, because now they must choose. Lie again, tell themselves they're still good, still right, still pure, or face the monstrous truth. They became what they swore to destroy, not because they were weak, but because they never dared to integrate what they feared. And what you exile doesn't vanish. It waits. It waits until the man has nothing left to protect, until he's stripped bare in the stillness. Then, only then, does he see the demon's face and realize it's his own. Some men try to outrun their darkness. Others try to kill it, but the wisest learn to speak its language. You can feel it now, can't you? The weight of what you've become. It's in your voice when you raise it. It's in your silence when you withdraw. It's in the things you swore you'd never say, but said anyway. The demon isn't just whispering in your ear anymore. It's sitting in your chair, wearing your face, answering to your name, and now you're left with a choice. Do you kill the demon, or do you integrate it? Here's the truth they won't tell you. You can't kill it. You can't bury what you've become. You can silence it for a while. But shadows are patient. They grow in silence, and when they return, they do so with interest. That's what happens to men who try to purify themselves instead of understanding themselves. They trade one illusion for another. They believe they've become good, when in reality, they've just become controlled. Controlled by shame, by denial, by the desperate hope that if they pretend long enough, the past will dissolve. But the psyche doesn't work like that. You don't forget what you are. You just hide it until it finds another way out. And so we arrive at the only path that works. Integration. Not surrender, not indulgence, but ownership. To integrate the demon is to give it a name. To look at your jealousy and say, yes, that is mine. To stare at your cruelty and say, that lives inside me. To acknowledge your manipulations, your fantasies, your coldness, not with pride, but with presence. Because what you name, you can tame. What you refuse to face will rule you. Carl Jung said it better than anyone. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So stop pretending you're a saint. Stop telling yourself you're not like other men. Stop hiding your capacity for destruction behind self-help quotes and empty affirmations. You are dangerous. You are capable of harm. But the man who knows his darkness can use it wisely. He can wield his demon without being consumed by it. He can contain the fire without burning the village. That is power, not denial, not suppression, but mastery. So ask yourself now, and answer honestly. Will you keep running from the demon, or will you finally sit with it and learn its name? Let me tell you a hard truth, son. You don't become a demon in one night. It happens in silence, in shadows, in the places you never thought to look, the lies you told to keep your pride, the cruelty you justified in the name of strength, the betrayal you called self-preservation. Piece by piece, you traded fragments of yourself until there was nothing left but a mask that fits a little too well. And now you wonder why people flinch when you walk in. You wonder why your words taste bitter, why your victories feel hollow, why even in a room full of people, you feel hunted by something that lives inside you. Let me be clear. The demon wasn't someone you fought. It wasn't the man who hurt you. It wasn't the woman who used you. It wasn't the father who ignored you or the world that mocked you. No, the demon was you. It always was. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy pointing at others, too proud to look in the mirror, too scared to admit you've been feeding the darkness in your attempt to destroy it. The man who thinks he's righteous while rotting from within is more dangerous as ours than any monster. So here's your reckoning. You can keep pretending, keep blaming, keep spiraling until you become unrecognizable, a shell of who you might have been, just another ghost in a suit of rage. Or you can do the one thing you've never done. Turn around, face the damn mirror, and ask yourself, what have I become? Not as a victim, not as a martyr, not as a hero, but as a man who's tired of being possessed by his own unresolved pain. Because if you don't, you'll keep becoming the very thing you swore you'd never be. And the worst part, you'll do it with a smile. So now you've seen it. Not the devil in the shadows, not the monster behind someone else's eyes. No, you've seen your own reflection in the things you hate most. And maybe for the first time, you felt something move beneath your skin. A flicker of awareness, a twitch of shame. Or maybe, just maybe, you recognized that voice in your head wasn't yours at all. It was his. The demon. Yours. The one you spent your whole life trying to outrun, mocking weak men while avoiding your own cowardice, despising manipulators while perfecting your own masks, hating liars while lying to yourself about who you really are. Let me ask you something. What part of yourself have you been refusing to look at? Because here's the truth most men will never admit. The part of you fear the most is the one running your life. The part you won't accept will possess you. And the part you bury will dig itself out in every word you speak, every choice you make, every relationship you destroy. Now, I'm not here to save you. No man can do that. But I will leave you with this. You can wear the demon, or you can face it. There is no third option. So if something in this message pierced through your armor, leave a comment below. Write down the trait, the memory, the face, the moment you've hidden away. Say it out loud. Give the demon a name before it steals yours. And if this voice, this dissent, this brutal mirror of yours made sense, then subscribe. Not for comfort, not for answers, but because you're finally ready to face what's real. This isn't the end. This is the first crack in the mask. I'll be here at the bottom, waiting for the next brave man who dares to look down and not look away.